This video is supported by AC Infinity. Yo, what's good, everybody? I am Bass Drop Keys, your friendly neighborhood Negro. And in today's video, we're gonna do episode 2 of season 7 of the Infinity Grow. This grow is sponsored by AC Infinity. If you want to get any of the great AC Infinity products for yourself, use the code BassDropKeys. That will give you a 15% discount on any order at acinfinity.com. Also, if you're going to be shopping on Amazon, I do have a 10% code for Amazon now. Use the code KEYS10OFF to get 10% off any AC Infinity order on Amazon.com. Now, as you guys know, I am an auto pot grower, which means that I love using auto pots in order to grow my cannabis. For this particular grow, I will be using the Double XL system. With the Double XL system, you can actually use a 9-gallon or a 13-gallon fabric pot. If you want to use the same Double XL system that I'm using for this particular grow, I will put the link in the description. Also, I do want to thank Autopot for sponsoring me. You can use the code BassDropKeys to get a 10% discount on any order at autopotusa.com. If you rather have a system where you can use smaller pots, then I would recommend the Bass Drop Keys 4-pot system bundle. With my system, I love using the 3.9-gallon pots. You guys have seen me use this particular system multiple times on the channel already. So if you want the Double XL system, or you want the Bass Drop Keys system, or you want any other system from Autopot, use the code BassDropKeys, get a 10% discount. Thank you to Autopot once again for sponsoring me and this grow. All right, guys, so now it's day 21 of veg, and you can see that this plant has gotten even bigger. Right now, at this particular time, it's already big enough that we can flip in the flower. But as I said earlier, I do want to give it 4 weeks of veg with me. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait 1 more week, and in 1 more week, we're going to go ahead and flip it in the flower. As I said, I haven't done any low stress training. I haven't done any defoliation. I haven't done any of that. So on day 21, you can tell that this plant is very, very happy. As far as the light, I do have the light at 70% right now. I'll probably keep it right here until I flip them in the flower. All right, guys, so now it's day 28 of veg, and this is the day that I'm going to flip this plant in the flower. If you look at the plant, you can see that it's healthy and happy. My one concern that I have right now is, now that I'm flipping this plant in the flower, it's going to go through a stretching phase, and I believe that I let the plant get a little bit too big before I flipped it in the flower. You guys know this started from clone, so I wanted to give this plant 4 weeks inside of this tent before I flipped it. In reality, I probably should have did it 2.5, 3 weeks in, because there's a limit to the height inside of this tent. It can only go up so high as far as the light, and I usually have a problem with my plants being too big for the tents that they're in. So because of that, I always end up having to super crop my plants down, which you guys know is just breaking up the outer shell of the stem so you can flip it over without breaking off or damaging your plant in a major way. Super cropping is how you can keep your plant underneath your light. And so if this plant gets too big during the stretching phase, I will have to do that, but we'll just have to see what happens when the time comes. You guys know that usually whenever I flip a plant in the flower, that's the day that I do the defoliation and lollipopping. Also, that's the day that I put the trellis up. Now, you guys know that we're doing the ultimate lazy man method of growing, the Bass Drop Keys lazy man method. And so we're not going to do any of that. I'm actually going to do the defoliation and the lollipopping after the stretch phase this time. So usually I do it on the day that I flip them in the flower. I let them go through their stretch phase, which is going to be, 3 to 4 weeks usually. After that, I do the defoliation and lollipopping, and that's the last time that I have to worry about it. This time, we're only going to do it 1 time for the entire grow, and that's after the stretch phase. Also, I'm not putting up a trellis. If the plant ends up needing some stability, I'll use some bamboo sticks down the line, but right now, no trellis, no anything. All I'm doing to flip this plant in the flower is I'm changing the light cycle from 18 and 6, 18 hours on, 6 off. Now it's going to 12 and 12, 12 hours on and 12 hours off. Also, I should mention that whenever I flip the plant in the flower, on that day is usually the day that I give them nutrients. I'm going to wait 1 week. You can see the plant is not lacking for any nutrients. So I'm going to wait 1 week, and I will amend my medium then. So that covers everything I did to flip the plant into flower, which is basically nothing except for change the light cycle. Now this is officially day number 1 of flower. All right guys, so now it's day 7 of flower. And if you look at the footage, you can tell that this plant is going through its stretch phase fast. You can see how tall it already is. I've already had to move the light up. I pretty much can't move it up anymore. And so what I was saying previously in the video about worrying about this plant being too tall for this tent, I'm thinking that this is going to be one of those cases where we have to worry about that, because it's only been 1 week of flower and look how tall this plant is stretched already. You see that one tall one in the middle, the main one, and then those satellite ones on the outer side, they're going tall too. So we can already see that we're going to have a problem with that, and we're definitely going to have to do some super cropping in the future. Right here, you can see that this one little leaf here does have light burn on it. So that's what I'm saying. We can already tell just by past experience that whenever the plant stretches this much in the first week, it's usually going to go until week 3, 3.5, 4. So that means that this right here is definitely going to be too tall for this tent. This plant is a fast grower. It always has been since I've had it, and it's really enjoying and loving this Ace Infinity light. But now, like I said previously, I need to amend my medium. We didn't do it a week ago whenever I flipped them into flower, so we're going to do it now. So in order to amend my medium, it's very, very simple. I have a 1/2 cup measuring cup right here, and I'm going to take some worm castings. I'm putting 2 scoops in here. I'm taking the Down to Earth Vegetable Garden 444, 2 scoops, so 1 cup. And because we're in flower now, I'm taking the Down to Earth Rose and Flower Mix 484. And once again, you got it, 2 scoops, 1 cup. Once you have it on top of there, work it in your medium with your hands, just like that. And then you guys already know the nutrients are not readily available to be uptaken by the plant. It has to break down first. So we're going to water from the top the next 3 to 4 days to help the nutrients break down so the plants can uptake it. After you do that, you don't have to worry about water from the top anymore. Everything's easy peasy. So now that we have that done, have the plant watered, this is how everything looks. Right now in the grow, everything is just fine. All right, guys, so now it's day 14 of flower. And if you look at the footage, you'll see that now the plant is starting to grow in between the lights above the light. So that means that we're going to have to do what I've been talking about this entire video, which is super cropping. Now, if you don't know how to super crop, let me go ahead and give you a little demonstration. All you have to do is pinch the outer shell of the stem. You'll feel it in your fingers break apart, just the outer part of it. Once you do that, you're able to lay the plant, the branch, in whatever direction you want to push it in. Now, we want our branches to always go to the outside. So you see how whenever I super cropped it, I pushed it to the outside of the tent. On the right hand side, I push it to the right. On the left hand side, I push it to the left. If I'm super cropping one in the back, I'm going to push it towards the back. The point is, you don't want to push it towards the middle. That's going to block light being able to get in the entire canopy of the plant, and we don't want to do that. So if your plant is getting too tall, super crop it down. I know it looks kind of funny, but it's not hurting the plant at all. Once again, the plant is still not done stretching. I will do the defoliation and lollipopping once it's done stretching, because after that time, the plant really focuses its energy into the buds and not into the leaves. So once we do it after the stretching part, we won't have to worry about defoliating or lollipopping again. Also, by looking at the footage, you can see that the buds are starting to form. You see how those pistils are coming together, starting to form those buds. But overall, everything is going just fine for this grow. I just should have flipped them into flower a little bit earlier. All right, guys, so now it's day 21 of flower. And by looking at the footage, you can see that I've put the light as far up in the tent as I can. There's basically no space at all that I could put the light up anymore. And so now what I'm doing is basically just coming back in, and the parts of the plants that's too close to the light, trying to keep them away. If you look at the footage, you'll see there's a couple burn spots in there where different buds got burnt by the light. It sucks, but it'll be okay in the long run. Also, if you look, you can see right here where I've done the super cropping before in the past. Now you see what I mean about it's not hurting the plant at all. It just makes it look this way. But what it does do is give you more space so that the buds are not exactly right by the light and getting burnt up. I am noticing that there's a couple other branches that need to be super cropped again, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. If you look at the buds, you can see that they're even more developed. They have more pistils on there, and the buds themselves are healthy and happy. The only thing that's going on with this particular grow is just the plant being so tall that I gotta super crop it. But other than that, everything's doing pretty good. Also, I should mention, whenever I flip the plant in the flower, I do have this light on level 8. So for everybody that has your Ace Infinity set up, you're probably using the app. You know, on the app, the light goes from 0 to 10. I have it on level 8 right now. And by the way, I do not increase the power anymore during the entire grow. 8 is the highest that I have the light the entire grow. It's not going any higher. This plant is almost done stretching. So next week is when we're gonna do the lollipop and defoliation. All right, guys, so now it's day 28 of flower. And this is the day, like I told you guys, that I'm doing the lollipopping and defoliation. If you look at the footage, you can see that I'm already almost finished with it. The bottom third of the plant, you can see that I got rid of all the leaves and those little bitty branches. It's not gonna turn into anything but a lot of fluffy stuff. I got rid of all that stuff. And now I'm going up towards the top of it and get rid of some of those bigger leaves, so nothing's blocking the light penetration all through the canopy. Also, I want to mention that you guys know we're doing the lazy man method of growing, but it's very important at this particular time you do everything that you possibly can to avoid mold and powdery mildew. So if you look at the relative humidity inside of your tent, inside of your grow room, you're going to notice that it's going to be pretty high. And we don't want it to be 60, 70, even 50 at this particular point. You don't want the RH that high. So right now, right to my right, I have a dehumidifier right there. I have the dehumidifier set at 35, and I'm getting rid of all the extra moisture inside of the air, because I'm trying to tell you guys, once powdery mildew starts, it's very hard to fight, and we don't want to have to deal with any type of mold. So another reason why I'm defoliating, get rid of all the extra leaves, is we want to avoid powdery mildew at all costs. And so, like I said, I have the dehumidifier in here. Also, for this entire grow, I've had the tent closed except for when I need to open it to work and do whatever I need to do. But other than that, it's been closed. Now, for the rest of the grow, pretty much, I'm going to have the tent open, because you see I have the little oscillating fan in here from Ace Infinity. These fans work great. And I actually have another one that I could put in here too. But because I've had powdery mildew in the past and it's just a big hassle to have to deal with, I do everything that I can do to make sure it doesn't happen again. So what I do is, these little fans are just fine. But what I do is I bring in a big pedestal fan from Walmart. You know, they sell them for like $20, $30 at Walmart. And I have the big pedestal fan sweeping across the entire plant the rest of the time. Now, in that same vein, that leads me to the next thing that I always do. So if you guys didn't know, cinnamon is a natural antifungal agent. And so right now we're doing everything that we can to avoid powdery mildew and mold. And so one thing that can help you, especially for somebody that's growing organic just like me, you want to find organic remedies for anything that may come up. And one of the things that you can do to help prevent mold is to use cinnamon on top of your soil or your grow medium. Cinnamon has a lot of strong compounds that have antifungal effects. Also, it's going to help prevent dampening off. Cinnamon is all natural, so we're not using anything that's like chemicals or anything that's not natural. We're not using on our grows, on our plants. And finally, the cinnamon will absorb the excess moisture, which is exactly what we're trying to do with the dehumidifier. The cinnamon will help you do that as well, because if you have overwatered, if you've been overwatering, you'll see mold starting to form on top of your pots, which you don't want. And so if you lightly dust the mold with the cinnamon, that will definitely work. What I do, you can see me doing it right now, is I mix it in with the topsoil. Usually that's what you do. If the issue keeps coming back and back and back, you can go ahead and mix it into the topsoil. But I do this as a preventive measure, because like I said, trust me guys, if you've never had to deal with powdery mildew or mold, you don't want to have to deal with it. The best thing that you can do to deal with powdery mildew and mold is to do everything you can not to have it happen. So that's what I do every time now. And then once I do that, I'm just going to take a little of the medium, the cocoa and perlite, and I'm just going to top this off. I'm doing that because, you know, there's a fan right here. And so the fan could blow the cinnamon that I just used that's on top. It could just blow it away. So I just put a little bit of the medium on top just to hold it in right there. No big deal. And now that I've done that, I've defoliated, I've lollipopped the plant, we put our cinnamon in. Let's take a look at how it looks now. So look how beautiful. You can see that those buds are plumping up more and more. There's a couple little branches right there on the bottom left and right that I'm thinking about getting rid of towards the bottom, but I really just wanted to see if they would stretch up a little bit more. They're completely on the side, so I believe that they're getting enough light that they should be okay and densing up some, but I'll keep my eye on it. And as I'm getting you pictures of the buds, you can see how the buds are starting to come together to make even bigger buds. That's how it works. You see the white pistils, they start coming together to make the buds, and then those buds start linking together to make, bigger buds. You can see right there on one of the buds where there was some light damage. Like I said, there's about 2 or 3 buds to have that on it in this particular grow, but it's fine. It'll be okay. There's enough buds here that 2 or 3 buds get messed up. It'll be okay. It's all right. Also, if you look at some of the leaves, you can see that they're actually having some purple that's starting to come in. If I didn't mention in this particular video, I am growing apple fritter. That is the strain for this video. But all right, guys, that's where we're going to leave it for today's video. In today's video, I covered the rest of veg, which was only a week left, and I covered the first 4 weeks of flower. You can see, other than the height of the plant, that this plant is doing just fine. Judging by the amount of colas and buds that we have on here, I think the yield should be okay. But you guys know I'm not growing for the yield anymore. I stopped that. I want the best cannabis that I can get. So ideally from this one plant, if I can get, 3 or 4 ounces, that'll be cool with me. If it's even more, even better. But my main concern is making sure that the cannabis is as good as it can be. If you guys are interested in joining my premium Discord, the link will be in the description. No matter if you know me from 420 or mushrooms or finance or gambling or all the things that I do, there's a spot in the Discord for you. It's only $5 a month or $45 for the year. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you. And also, don't let me forget that that's where all the giveaways are going down. So if you want to get in on all the giveaways, come join the Discord. And if you guys are into gambling, come subscribe to my brand new gambling channel, The Rookie Gambler. It's only been up 5 months, almost 6 months. We've already hit 300,000 views on the channel and pulling up on 3,500 subscribers. Come subscribe to The Rookie Gambler. That's going to do it for today's video. I will update you guys in about a month or so. I really appreciate all of you. And until I see you guys the next time, peace, guys. I'm out. Much love.